All roads led to Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders for the longest time. Well, guess what? Ashton Jeanty is now a member of the Raiders. That plus more on Friday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for April 25th, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. We definitely appreciate you for catching the show wherever you find your favorite podcast, or you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page. You know we appreciate both. The show grows each and every day because of your support and, of course, the job that my man Ari does behind the scenes, making sure we look good and sound good each and every day. We shout him out. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up as well at your boy Q254. And if you want to be a part of the show, and trust and believe, plenty of you do, we've got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line at 707-654-4693. We'll get your calls and texts coming up in segment number 3 of today's show. And I'll tell you, I'll just give you a little hint, a little spoiler right here. A spoiler alert. A lot of positivity coming up in segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast when it comes to your calls, your texts, all your feedback. So now that day 1 and round 1 of the NFL draft is in the books, what's up for day 2, round 2, and round 3? Who's still left for the silver and black to select? Of course, pick number 37 is their next selection. That is the 5th pick in round 2. So we'll break it down. I got about 5 guys that I'm looking at coming up in segment number 2 that we'll talk about that the Raiders could be focused in on Friday for the second day of the NFL draft. Here in segment number 1, just news and notes of the day, and you know what it's all about the number 6 overall pick, Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State. We'll jump into that after I tell you about the title sponsor of the show, and that's LinkedIn Jobs. It helps you find the qualified candidate you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. So off top, Ashton Jeanty, after all the long speculation, all the mock drafts that had him going to the Raiders at 6, and then all of a sudden everything got flipped upside down, and it was the Jaguars going to take him at 5, maybe the Patriots were going to take him at 4, and then we saw the big trade happen. We saw the trade where the Jaguars went up to 2. They got Travis Hunter. They gave the Cleveland Browns a big haul in return, which I was actually surprised that they got as much as they did, but they did. So then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, all roads lead to Ashton Jeanty back to the Raiders, I think, right? And then I thought that maybe the Browns were going to take him at 5 right in front of the Raiders, and then they did not. They went and got Mason Graham, and that led Ashton Jeanty to the silver and black, and that was the pick all along, which I got to admit that I'm really shocked that the very first real mock that had Ashton Jeanty going to the Raiders at 6 was so long ago, and it ended up being accurate. Clearly, the reports out there that the Raiders were looking at offensive lineman, offensive tackle Kelvin Banks out of Texas. That was a little misdirection to throw other teams off the scent, so they didn't try to trade up and go get Ashton Jeanty. So now the Raiders got a big-time playmaker, adds him to the offense. Geno Smith is in the mix for the quarterback spot. Obviously, you got Brock Bowers 2 years in a row in the first round. The Raiders got the best player in their position. Brock Bowers last year, best tight end in the class. This year, Ashton Jeanty, best running back in the class. They're getting in the habit of getting the best player at their position, which is a good thing, right? I mean, we talk about it all the time. You got to continue to stack talent, and stack talent, and that's exactly what the Raiders did. So Ashton Jeanty, I had an opportunity to catch up with him on Wednesday here in Green Bay, and that was a really good conversation. I caught up with him for a couple minutes following the selection with the Raiders as well. You'll hear that in a couple seconds. But before I do that, got a really cool text. So my guy, Good Doc, he hit me up and said, hey, Q, my son's 11 years old, listens to the show every day with me, and he wanted to pass along his thoughts on Ashton Jeanty being selected at number 6. So let's go ahead and shout out to King Raider. That's his name. He says, yo, Q, King Raider here from Canada, the Good Doc's son. I'm 11 years old. Wanted to share my thoughts about the top 10 picks, but I'll keep it silver and black. With the 6th pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Ashton Jeanty. I'm so hyped about this pick. You already know how much I love the Raiders, and Jeanty is going to be a game changer for that offense. Absolutely the right move. I guess the mocks were right with that one. I can't wait to see what they do to start day 2. Shador, Milroe, Will Johnson, Burden, still a lot of good players to choose from. Love your show, Q. I love hearing your thoughts. I'm excited to hear what you thought about round 1. Won't be my last time texting. King Raider out. Raiders. First of all, are you sure you're only 11? Right? I don't think I had good texts like that. Well, I know I wasn't texting when I was 11. When I was 11, man, I wasn't even picking up the phone. Mama Q was like, man, you better put that phone down. But, man, fantastic text and breakdown. And I think everything that you just said about Ashton Jeanty and what he can bring for this Raiders offense is spot on. You did the heavy lifting, man. You want to sub for the show? No, you know what? If I let you sub for the show, you might take the show. So no, I'm not gonna let you do that. No, but good stuff. It's really good to hear from you. I definitely appreciate you, checking out the show on the daily, and also reaching out and sharing your thoughts like that at 11 years old. That's awesome. So shout out to my guy, the Good Doc, and also shout out to King Raider, Good Doc's son, for that. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the conversation I had with Ashton Jeanty following the draft. And look, it was a long day. Well, it's been a whole long process for him. As he told me on Wednesday, the journey's been long. He was exhausted. I'm exhausted from the trip out to Green Bay, the whole week being here, and it's been a whole lot of fun. But you could tell that Ashton was tired after all the media that he had to do following being drafted. Just caught up with him for a couple minutes. But here it is, Ashton Jeanty, now a member of the Silver and Black. Here with the newest Las Vegas Raider, Ashton Jeanty. How does that sound to you?
Man, it sounds amazing. It's got a nice ring to it,
It really does. And we caught up yesterday, and I just asked you about the journey, and you said it's been long. Now that this part of the journey is over, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great. Just a sense of relief, just take a deep breath and, just thankful and grateful, for the path and the journey to getting here. And it's just a great moment.
I was talking to your coach earlier, and he said that you're relentless, you're competitive, you want to win at everything, checkers. It doesn't matter what it is, you want to compete, and that's what Pete Carroll's all about. Where's your competitive drive? Where do you get that from?
I think from how I was raised, we competed in everything, whether it was video games, board games, playing outside, man, anything with the family, we're competing. So it's just in my blood,
So when you get out there on the football field, what's going through your mind? When you're shaking guys 1,700 yards after contact, what is going through your mind?
Shoot, no man on that field can tackle me, right? And, it's me versus 11. There's 11 people coming after the ball trying to take me down.
So what is Raider Nation getting in Ashton Jeanty?
And they getting somebody who's just, passionate about what he does. He loves football. Loves the community, and I'm excited to be embraced and embrace this new community.
You mentioned just a little while ago at the podium that you already love the fan base. What is it about the fan base that you already love?
Man, it's that energy. They come with each and every game, and it's just like, Raider Nation, we the bad boys. You
played in Allegiant Stadium a few times,
yeah.
Right? How excited are you to get back out there on the grass and do it again?
Real excited. It's a great stadium. It's beautiful. Scored a few touchdowns in there, so why not score some more?
I'm going to let you go real quick. What do you want to say to Raider Nation as I let you roll?
Just win, baby.
So that was the quick couple-minute conversation right there with Ashton Jeanty. Again, fired up about him. I think that a lot of us had all of a sudden, kind of, especially myself, had talked about Ashton Jeanty. Maybe it's too high to go grab a running back at number 6. And then at the point when we all thought that he was going to be gone by 6, it's like, wait, hold on. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. No, it's not too high. It's not too high. Go ahead and make the pick. And they did make the pick, and I think that that's a really good one. The cool thing is, while I was waiting to catch up with Ashton Jeanty, his football coach, his college coach, Spencer Danielson, was waiting for him as well. He was cheering him on. Young dude, super excited, super fired up dude. Really, really cool. So he gave me a few minutes of his time as well to talk about who the Raiders are getting in Ashton Jeanty. Here's that conversation. Here with Boise State head football coach Spencer Danielson. And Coach, you just saw your guy. You saw Ashton Jeanty go number 6 to the Raiders. You got the Raider hat on. What are you thinking right now?
I am so fired up for him, man. God is good. It's just seeing a young man that, since he came to us at 17 years old, just continued to work. And the player he is, the man he is, he's going to not only be, in my opinion, one of the best football players in the NFL next season, he's going to impact that culture the second he walks in the door.
I asked him yesterday, how much his military background, his father, how much that kind of had him grounded and disciplined. How much did you see that as far as kind of helping shape him into the guy he is?
Yeah, he's absolutely wired the right way. And even in recruiting, we talk about talent sets the floor, character sets the ceiling, right? Obviously, Ashton Jeanty has a high talent, right? So he's got a high floor. But what's made him who he is and I don't even think he's even played his best football yet, is because his character is so high, so his ceiling's so high, and that's just who he is.
What is it about him when he's on the field? What makes him so, over 1,700 yards after contact? What is it that makes him so unstoppable?
Yeah, he's a matchup nightmare. As a defender, you don't know how to deal with him, Like if you come in high, he's going to go through you like a bug on a windshield. If you come in low to brace for impact, he's just going to one cut and he's around you. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He'd be one of the best returners in the country too. So he's a matchup issue. Like if they line him up and empty, you better put a corner on him, or that linebacker is absolutely toast. That's who he is.
We got Boise State head football coach Spencer Danielson with us here. Ashton Jeanty goes number 6 to the silver and black. What is it about Ashton Jeanty the Raider Nation doesn't know that they're going to get to know pretty quick?
I mean, he's just a phenomenal human being. I mean, he will become the face of the program. That's just who he is. I mean, because people are going to love being around him. His teammates are going to love being around him. The team's going to play for each other now because he's a team-first guy, and he's gonna have a lot of fun doing it. He's going to be dancing in the locker room. I can't even imagine some of the touchdown dance he's going to have, but I promise you he's going to work. Like, he doesn't run from it.
No, and that's what Pete Carroll's all about, right? And so in this game of college football now, it's so tough to keep talent because of NIL, the transfer portal. He didn't leave. He didn't leave Boise State. What does that tell you about him as a man?
Yeah, he's never lost his focus, right? Where others do, where it's, okay, I'm going to go here and chase this. Ash has chased greatness. That's the only thing he chases. He doesn't chase other things, and now he has all these things, but he's on a mission. Yes, he got drafted 6th overall. It's an amazing moment for him, but he's not done. I mean, he's going to go be the offensive rookie of the year. He's attacking these things. That's how he's wired.
You know, he always has a smile on his face. It seems like everyone's always cheering for him. What is it about him that just attracts other people to him?
Well, first off, he's just a relentless competitor. And that's become uncommon, right? People want to say they're an elite competitor, but to be that, you have to sacrifice everything. I mean, how you are in the training room, how you are in the practice field, how you watch film, how you're around your teammates. So people want to be Ashton, or they want to be these guys, but they don't want to put the actual work in. Ashton will. That's why, I mean, it's going to be a match made in heaven with him and Coach Carroll, because he's going to have a lot of fun, but you better believe when that ball gets put down, number 2 is going to be ready to roll.
Well, he told me that he won the basketball competition when they went in, when he had his private visit, and he said he won the basketball competition. So he said, I got a good J. So he wants to compete at everything, it sounds like.
Yeah, if you play him in checkers, you better get your mind right.
Well, I'm assuming that we're going to see a lot of you at Allegiant Stadium.
Oh yeah, I'm silver and black now for life, man. I'm fired up.
Well, final question for you: what did he mean for the program, just in general? Now that everyone saw him do what he did, goes very high in the draft. What does that do for you, the program, recruiting, everything?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Jesus. I mean, you talk about a young man that was pulled in a lot of directions, but never let himself get there, right? He could have, and just focused on his development and achieved what he did. Our team achieved what we did. Top 10 football team last season, college football playoff, back-to-back Mountain West champs, Heisman, all these things. You can have it all at Boise State, and Ashton Jeanty's proven that. It's not hope. It's, oh, you want to be that way? Come to Boise State. As long as you're built different.
That was really cool. Spencer Danielson, he was like that. I know that was only about a 4-minute conversation with him, but man, this dude is a ball of energy, just a really cool dude. He's so pumped up for Ashton and just kept talking about his journey and what a great guy he is. Not only are you getting a great player, but you're getting a great guy that's going to represent the community, represent the Raiders, represent everyone right. His last name, right, having the military background and everything that he does. I mean, just a really good dude. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Brock Bowers being the best at his position last year, the Raiders selected him with the number 13 overall pick, and now this year with the number 6 overall pick, they get the guy that's best at his position in Ashton Jeanty. So I know a lot of Raider Nation's fired up. It's really great to see the Raiders make a pick and not people say, what the hell was that? You picked who? Wait, what? It's so cool to be able to be in the Raiders, or not in the Raiders media room, but being in the media room here at the draft, as I am right now, following the draft, and just to be able to see people say, hey, man, you guys got a really good player. Hey, man, you guys got a really good player. I had my buddy Paul Catalina, who's a big Cowboy fan. As soon as Jeanty was the pick, he texted me and said, Ashton Jeanty, I hate you. Because he really wanted the Raiders or the Cowboys to be able to get Ashton Jeanty, so he was mad that the Raiders were able to get him, and he liked Brock Bowers last year as well. So just funny that's how it is. It's not very often that I get texts like that from my friends or colleagues or whatever the case may be, but I think overall I saw a lot of Raider Nation. I know people at the Raider draft party in Las Vegas were super fired up. I saw some videos from that, and people were pumped about Ashton Jeanty. So 2 thumbs up for John Spytek and Pete Carroll after day 1 of the NFL draft. So coming up, day 2, right? It's not over after 1 round. You've got rounds 2 and rounds 3 coming up Friday night. So who are some guys that I'm looking at that the Raiders may have some interest in? We'll talk about that coming up in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before I get to that, though, I do want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, and that is LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. Right now, post your job. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write your job description and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pros tip, a pros tip. You can add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find highly qualified candidates quickly. Yeah, you say that 5 times fast. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Done deal records when it comes to round 1. Now it's time for rounds 2 and rounds 3. So we'll just really focus in on rounds 2. A couple guys that stand out to me that I think that the Raiders could have their eyes on that we'll talk about here in segment number 2. And then, there's a couple guys that, may think about round 3, but you know how it goes. Once, round 2 gets going, gets cooking, everything starts going really fast and trades start happening, right? You just all of a sudden start to lose track of what players are still there. So I don't want to try to guesstimate who's going to be around in round number 3, but we'll really kind of concentrate on just how the Raiders follow up their really good selection of Ashton Jeanty in round number 1. What do they do in round number 2? So there's 5 guys that I've, put to the side. One, Shedeur Sanders. I got to put him to the side just because I'm surprised he's still there. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I'm really surprised. Anyone who's listened to this show knows that I've been a big supporter of his. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. Just because he didn't get selected in round 1, I still believe he's going to be a really good quarterback, but I'm not paid to be a talent evaluator, right? I mean, I'm not paid to be a guy that's making selections for teams and building the team. So maybe the NFL knows something that I don't know. And maybe the ones that have called into the show and said that they don't like him and don't think he's a good quarterback, maybe you're absolutely correct, right? That could very well be the case. The thing is, he'll get the opportunity to show all the teams that passed on him who he is soon enough when he gets selected. And he will get selected, and when he goes to a team. But with that being said, could the Raiders be one of those teams? Had a lot of people here at the media room say, hey, Q, I think Shedeur could be in line for maybe round 2. Personally, I think that he'll probably go to the Browns in round 2. They have 2 picks before the Raiders ever get their first pick. They start off the draft in round 2, and then they have, I think, the 4th pick of round 2, and then the Raiders will pick 5th. So I would be shocked if the Browns were to go with someone else at quarterback that's not named Shedeur Sanders. But I'm also shocked that he's still available in round 2. So I'm just going to throw that out there because, again, I just knew that he was going to go in round number 1, and he didn't. My guy Joe Fortenbaugh from Joe and Q on ESPN Radio, actually on Thursday before the show got wrapped up, he's like, you know what? I think Shedeur is going to drop to round 2. And I was like, no way, man. This is a quarterback-needy league, man. These teams are desperate for quarterbacks. There's no way that he's going to drop to round number 2. But here we are. He's dropping to round number 2. So we'll see what happens. I don't think the Raiders are going to look at him, or not. I don't want to say look at him. I think they're going to definitely look at him, but I don't think that they're really going to get a chance to get him because I do think Cleveland will get him. I do think they'll think about it, but if they're going to take a quarterback in round 2, I think it'll actually be Jalen Milroe. And the reason why I think that it'll be Jalen Milroe is because he can actually help them right now. Not being the full-time franchise quarterback, we know that. But as I've talked about multiple times and you've called in and talked about multiple times, there could be packages for Jalen Milroe, right? There could be goal line packages. There could be third and whatever packages. Him and Ashton Jeanty, you can do the zone read option with them, and he's a threat. Ashton's a threat, right? I mean, it's like pick your poison. So I can see them going in that direction more so in round number 2 than Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur were going to be the guy that they took, they would probably feel the pressure to have to play him pretty quickly because he only has a 4-year deal, right? I mean, that's what it is when you're in round 2. So I do think that if they were going to go with a quarterback in round 2, it'll probably be Jalen Milroe, not because, he's a better quarterback at this stage of the game, but they can actually use him at this stage of the game. And then they could also not feel bad if Geno Smith is the starting quarterback for the next 2 years, right? And again, if you get Shedeur, you have to understand he's not sitting for more than a year. He's not. And in Cleveland, he can start right away, right? So, again, I would not be shocked if by the time the Raiders are on the clock, on Friday. Shador Sanders is already a Cleveland Brown. But again, side note, Jalen Milroe is still here in the green room. So you know how I am with players that are in the green room. Would love to see him get selected and get an opportunity to get that interview like I was able to talk to Ashton Jeanty after his selection. So that would be really cool. And as he told me on Wednesday, he's here for the opportunity. Right, he's here for the experience. He wants to be able to walk across the stage, be one of the few chosen ones that actually get to walk across the stage. And he let it be known on Wednesday he's not worried about when he gets drafted, and he's going to go in there and work his tail off no matter where it is, whatever team and whatever round it is. And I really wanted to play that little media scrum that we had with them. It was probably about 8 or 9 of us around him on Wednesday, but I want Raider Nation to have the opportunity to go ahead and let me know their feelings on Ashton Jeanty and more coming up in segment number 3. So I'll just go ahead and hold on to that Jalen Milroe. And like I said, if the Raiders do select him, then I'll get an interview with him right after the selection because he is here in the green room. So that's obviously something to look forward to if that does happen. And I wouldn't be mad at that at all. You know me, I'm always ready for another interview. So those are the 2 quarterbacks that I'm kind of looking at right now. How about cornerback? How about Will Johnson from Michigan, right? At one point, he was the guy that everyone looked at as, man, this guy could be a top 10 pick. This guy could be the first cornerback selected off the board. And, well, he's still in the green room. He's still waiting, right? So that's another guy that could also honestly be a steal, right? I'm sure he's going to get selected pretty early in round number 2. I know that speed is always going to be a concern when you're looking at him. He hasn't ran a 40. I know that was something that Daniel Jeremiah had mentioned to me on Wednesday, that the speed or lack of speed or just not knowing how fast he is a scenario, and also just the health situation. And, how healthy is he? He had that somewhat little bit of a pro day, kind of a showcase, really. It's more of a showcase for a handful of scouts and some GMs as well. And so, that's going to be a question, and we talked about it on the show many times about guys that, are banged up coming into the draft. You don't want to have those you don't want to select those guys, especially if you're going to need them to play right away. And obviously the Raiders have the history with Tyree Wilson and him coming in a little banged up, and we all know how that shook out. And, hell, there's a chance that he could be on the trade block sometime, either Friday or Saturday. Sometime this draft, that he easily could be moved just because he hasn't turned into what they expected when they drafted him, number 7 overall. So cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan is a guy that I've got my eye on that could end up being the ultimate steal if the Raiders are able to get him in round number 2. Also, linebacker Carson Schlesinger, right? That was a guy that Raider Educator had talked about a long time ago and brought him to our attention. We know that linebacker is a need for the Raiders. Now, he's not in the green room. That's fine. He's a very talented dude. He was a guy that Adam Schefter had talked about many times, could possibly be, a late first-round pick. He did not go in the first round. So, Pete Carroll could say, hey, I want to address the defense in round number 2, and they can go that direction, have a captain in that linebacking room, have a guy that, can wear the green dot eventually and be that guy. And he had a breakout season at UCLA in this last year, and so he could end up being a big-time, contributor, a big-time leader of that Patrick Graham-led defense. So Schlesinger is another guy that I'm looking at. And then one wide receiver. And there's a couple wide receivers that you could look at. Jaden Higgins is one from Iowa State, but I think he's more of like a round 3 guy. But also Luther Burden III from Missouri. He's a guy that some thought maybe he could slide into the back end of round 1. He's still waiting to hear his name called. He's got the speed. He got the 50-50 ball opportunity. He can go get those. He can make those plays. He had a down year in 2024, but a lot of that had to do with the quarterback play that he was having. So I think that could be a guy that could be a really nice addition to that Raiders offense. You've already got Brock Bowers. He's your number 1. You got Jacoby Myers. He's a really strong number 2. You don't need Burden to be the number 1. That's going to be Brock Bowers, even though he's a tight end. But with that speed, he can really help take the top off the defense, and he can go get the 50-50 balls. So he could be somewhat like, he's a little shorter, but he could be someone like how Amari Cooper was when the Raiders drafted him in the first round, right? He was able to get down the field because he was really quick, and he was able to go up there and high point the ball. And Michael Crabtree ended up being like the possession receiver. That could be Jacoby Myers. So they can kind of have that kind of approach and effect on the Raiders offense. If you're looking at a guy like Luther Burden III, would not be surprised if the Raiders decide to go in that direction at pick number 37. Then all of a sudden you got back-to-back offensive weapons, and now all of a sudden the Raiders offense goes from looking like, oh, I'm not too sure what they're doing, to, man, hold on. They could be doing some really good things. So those are the 5 guys that I think have an opportunity to be an impact for the Silver and Black that they could be looking at. A couple are still in the green room, and Jalen Milroe and cornerback Will Johnson. I don't know if Will's going to stay or not. that's obviously his option, whatever he decides. I'm sure his agents are on the phone with all the teams to try to gauge where he's going to go, and he'll probably make a decision. But I'm sure Jalen Milroe's going to stick around because, again, he talked about he's just here for the experience. He's not worried where he gets drafted, and once he gets drafted, he's ready to get to work. So I'm sure he'll be here. But those two guys, they were the draft invites, and the other guys were not. So we'll see. But I think those are some really good players to pay attention to and really help the Raiders continue to have a really good draft. They did really well in round one. Now, how do you complement that? How do you back it up with the next pick? What is John Spytek and Pete Carroll going to do? How are they going to continue to build this team? And I'll tell you, man, it's really a nice change of pace to be able to, talk about positive draft picks. And again, I got to give Tom Telesco from last year credit. Brock Bowers, first pick, JPJ, second pick, and then DJ Glaze, third pick. And I think everyone's pretty fired up about Brock Bowers and JPJ. Love to see Raider Nation fired up about Ashton Jeanty and, well, whoever they come up and pick on Friday in round number 2. And, of course, they have picks in round 3 as well. So that's what I got for you for segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. What you have for me, your calls and texts. We'll close out the show. We'll do that next at 707-654-4693. Before I get to that, though, I do want to tell you about one of the great sponsors here on the show, and that is FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, they are here. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. And I got to admit, I don't think I'm getting in too many actions when it comes to the NBA playoffs now that the Warriors are compromised. Now that Jimmy Butler is banged up and looks like he's going to miss some time. No Jimmy, no chance. It's just as simple as that. But you can get on the action. Matter of fact, when you join FanDuel, you can place your first $5 bet and you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. It's just like that. It's betting made easy. You're picking your favorite teams. You can get into player props, three-pointers, steals, assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets in the same game parlays for a chance to win big. How do you do that? Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. We'll close out hearing from you, 707-654-4693. Let's start things off with Big E, the 209. He's calling to give his thoughts on the draft so far and the selection of running back Ashton Jeanty at number 6. Here he is, Big E in the 209.
Hey, what up, Q? This is Big E from the 209, man. Just wanted to give you my thoughts on the draft so far. Great draft. I like that we draft Jeanty. It kind of fell how we expected everybody to fall in front of us. I like the pick at 6 for Jeanty. Just a quick thing on the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. It's crazy, man. Keep in mind, I will admit my bias because I am a Shedeur guy. I was a Shedeur guy. I was rooting for him to be maybe not at 6 or something. I wanted him to be gone before 6 to take away the, us having may or may not drafting him, take it out of there. But it's just crazy to me to see the fall of Shedeur Sanders. Is it really his attitude or his interviewing skills were rubbing people the wrong way? Was it really that? Because I would like to point out, and obviously I'm not implying anything about anybody's, the usuals. I won't even say it because I don't want to bring it up. But Bo Nix was just as confident and cocky as Shedeur Sanders, and not to mention Cam Ward. Is it simply because of everything, his Deion, who his father is and all that stuff? I don't know. It's just strange to me. Jackson Dart being drafted before Shedeur Sanders? Anyway, I'm saying all this to say, my question for you on that is, who do you see as picking up quarterback-wise in the second round? Would you choose somebody like Shedeur over somebody like Jalen Milroe, who I think would have a higher ceiling because he has more tools and more, tangibles than Shedeur Sanders has? And keep in mind, like I said, I'm a Shedeur guy. But in the second round, who would you take, Shedeur or somebody like Jalen Milroe? And honestly, with Shedeur falling, I think maybe Jalen Milroe, maybe we can pick him up in the 3rd or 4th round. Anyway, just wanted your thoughts on that, Q. Have a good one. Hope you're enjoying your time in Green Bay. Go Raiders, baby.
Big E, thanks for the call, my man. Appreciate you. And I agree, man. It's wild. It's wild that Shedeur dropped out of round 1, right? And I said it before, I'm not a talent evaluator. I'm not here to, pound the table and say it's criminal, this, that, and the other, that he didn't go in round number 1. It's just he didn't go in round number 1, right? He'll have an opportunity to prove who he is. I don't know if the Raiders would think about taking him. I left the reason why in segment number 2 why I don't think that they will. The many reasons. I mean, he's not a guy that you can go and throw into a package like in the goal line. He's not a threat to run like that. You know, he's not a Jalen Milroe. They're different animals. So I don't see that being an option. But as I mentioned, Milroe I could definitely see. The good thing is the Raiders pick at number 5 tomorrow, so it won't take very long to get the answers to that test either. Excited about that. Pick number 6 came around pretty quick on Thursday night, and I'm expecting pick number 5 to come around even quicker. You know, the rounds are shorter as well. So, man, it's going to boom, boom, boom. You blink, you'll miss it. So, yeah, excited about that. We get to see pretty quickly how they continue with their draft. So, thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate you. Up next, got a text from Mason in the 937. What's up, Q? Mason in the 937 here. Love the Ashton Jeanty pick. First time in a while I felt good about 2 back-to-back first-round picks by the Raiders. Feel like we're on the right track with Bowers, JPJ, and now Jeanty as our offense of the future. I'm thinking a cornerback or wide receiver in round 2, as there are still so many great players left. Here are my top 5 in no particular order. Will Johnson, Jaden Higgins, Trey Amos, Luther Burden, and Trey Harris. I'd be happy with any of those guys in the Raider jerseys. What are your thoughts on the guys left, and what position do you think is more important to fill tonight? Love the show, and thanks for all that you do for Raider Nation. I like those names. Jaden Higgins, that's the wide receiver out of Iowa State. I like him. Will Johnson, talked about him. He could end up being a big-time steal. Trey Amos, the cornerback out of Ole Miss. Heck of a player as well. Luther Burden, a wide receiver from Missouri. Talked about him and his speed and the way he can go get the 50-50 ball. Yeah, I think you're on to something. I think these are all really good picks. I like how you pick 5 because that's what I had in segment number 2. I picked 5 as well, so we're on the same page. So, Mason, you got some greatness in you. No, I'm just kidding. But, no, I think that those are really good players, and I'm just really excited about seeing what they're doing. Right? I mean, there's been so many times when Raider Nation would be so nervous by what they were going to pick because, well, they made so many bad picks. And now it's like, man, what's next? Give me another pick. Go, give me another draft pick. Like, who you're going to select now? Because, again, you just feel the positive momentum. At least I do. So that's something to get excited about. But thanks so much for the text. Definitely appreciate you. Up next, got a call from Daniel Freeman, calling to talk about the Jeanty pick at 6 and what he believes he will bring to the Raiders offense. Here he is, Daniel Freeman.
Hey, it's Daniel Freeman, calling Locked On Raiders. I'm just so excited to get Jeanty, the running back. He's going to be super beast mode. I was praying hard for that pick, and when the Jaguars straight up and take Travis Hunter, they gave me comments he'd be there at 6. And sure enough, he was, and we took him. So back-to-back years, we took the best player available. Offensive playmakers, tight end and Brock Bowers, and now running back Ashton Jeanty. This guy had 2,600 yards last year, and he had 29 touchdowns. This guy's going to score a lot of points. And I believe he'll be better than Josh Jacobs, because he scores more touchdowns, I believe. And he's like with Damian Thomason. This is the best running back pick we've had since, I think, Darren McFadden. McFadden would have been great if he stayed healthy. But anyways, Jeanty is going to be a superstar. Now we just maybe need to get a right tackle, a corner, and a receiver, and I think we'll be set. And possibly a quarterback for the future to learn under Daniel Smith. But I'm just so excited. Go Raiders. Tomorrow, I'm thinking if we go corner, we should take Benjamin Morrison. He was a lockdown corner for Notre Dame. If we don't go corner, I like Higgins from Iowa State, receiver, or possibly quarterback Jalen Milroe, or what if Sanders somehow falls to us. He hasn't been taken yet, but he might get taken soon. There's definitely Jalen Milroe, or even the quarterback from Ole Miss, Jackson Dart. But that's my thoughts on that. I'm just so excited we got Jeanty. Awesome. Let's go Raiders.
Big Dan, thanks for the call. Appreciate you. Jeanty has been getting a lot of comps to LT. Matter of fact, I mean, he rattled off his top 5 running backs on Wednesday. You heard that on Thursday's show, and he even mentioned LT when I asked him, well, which one of those guys are you like? Oh, LT. I'll tell you right now, if he could play anything close to LT, that's a winner. I mean, right? I mean, LT's a Hall of Famer. So if you get somebody that has that kind of impact, and we remember how big of an impact LT had on that Chargers offense. I mean, he'd do that stupid little finger roll thing. Man, he ran me hot. I told him about it too when I talked to him in the Super Bowl. I was like, man, you used to make me so angry with that finger roll. And it's not that it was stupid. It was just stupid that he did it 4 times a game against the Raiders because he was always scoring so many dang touchdowns against them. But, yeah, and he said it. I was like, man, what'd you do? Average like 400 yards a game against the Raiders? I think so. I think so. But, man, if Ashton Jeanty could be LT-like, yeah, the Raiders definitely have them a winner, and that offense is going to be pretty explosive. I'm excited to see what Ashton Jeanty looks like at Chip Kelly's offense. That's going to be cool. As far as round 2 goes, I mentioned quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, cornerback. I think quarterback's going to be addressed early because they can still get an impactful one, right? Whether they go Shedeur, whether they go Jalen Milroe, right? Even Tyler Shuck. A lot of people like him. I'm not really as high on him. He's 26 years old. He's had a little bit of injury history, and again, similar to Shedeur, I don't think he can help out right now as far as being a weapon on the field. He'll just have to be waiting in line. And as he's 26, do you really want him to wait for a couple of years? I don't think so. I think he'd be a guy that you'd rather see him in the game earlier. But cornerback, Will Johnson mentioned him. He's available. Still pretty surprised that he dropped out of round 1. So that's a guy to pay attention to for sure. So thanks for the call. Definitely appreciate you. Up next, got a text from Raider Murray. He said, "What up, Q? Raider Murray, Ashton was the pick. We now know the question is how far does Shedeur slide, or do we take him in the second? Do we grab a corner? And I guess if it's you, Shedeur or Milroe, let us know, Q." Raider Murray, thanks. And, yeah, Ashton was the pick. We do know all roads led to Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders, and all roads were correct, right? I always say that. I always say, like, in most neighborhoods, like, all streets lead to the same street, right? Somehow, if you make a right-hand turn, you'll find your way to wherever you're trying to go. It's like every single one of those roads. Like, you can pick one of 25 different roads, and they all went to Vegas. And, that road was Ashton Jeanty to Vegas. It was so funny that actually played out that way, but okay. Shedeur, Milroe, I think it would be Milroe over Shedeur only because, like I said, he can provide some kind of, some kind of impact right now as far as packages go. I think that would make a lot of sense. So thanks so much for the text. I do appreciate you. Up next, got a call, a quick one from Tony from the Raider Mob, calling to give his thoughts on the Raiders pick at 6 of Ashton Jeanty. Here's Tony from the Raider Mob.
Hey, Q Puck, it's Tony from the Raider Mob. Just want to say I'm super happy about that pick. Man, off to a good start, but let's see what happens tomorrow, man. I'm excited. Who are we going to get tomorrow? Who are we going to get tomorrow? Are we going to trade back in? I don't think so. Jackson Dart, let's go. Nah, not happening. All right, man. Love peace, chicken grease. All right.
Thanks for the call, Tony Tone. Appreciate you. Clearly, the house was happy. You can hear him in the background, pretty fired up. And like he said, no, Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart going in round 1, right? The Giants trading back up. I knew when the G-Men traded back up, I was like, oh, they're going to go get Shedeur. Nope, Jackson Dart. And it's funny, I thought about it right before the pick was made, too. I said, wait, last I heard, Brian Daboll, Jackson Dart was his guy. They're trading back up for Jackson Dart? Yep, they absolutely did. So there you go. But there are some really good prospects that are available for rounds 2 and 3. And, the Raiders are definitely off to a good start with their draft. John Spytek and Pete Carroll, well done. We'll close out with a text from Potato Raider. He says, "Hey, Q, Potato Raider here. Based on my name, you could probably guess where I'm from. The great state of Idaho. Having my favorite player from my favorite college end up going to my favorite NFL team, it's a dream come true. I watched nearly every game from Jeanty's college career, and he's a beast. I'm excited for Raider Nation to see what I've been watching and pounding the table for the Raiders to draft. However, more importantly, he's a better human. He'll be great on and off the field, and that's what we need as our team establishes their culture with the new GM and head coach. Couldn't be more pumped, and I hope you are as well. Raiders." That's Potato Raider. Really cool, man. Really cool. And, yeah, I could tell by your name that you were definitely from the great state of Idaho, and that's cool, right? Your favorite college team with a great player like that now going to your favorite NFL team. So you cheered him on in college. Now you get to continue to cheer him on with your favorite team. So that's really cool. And you're right. He is a great player on the field, but he's a great dude off the field. I mean, he absolutely is. From the early conversations I've had with him, while he was still playing at Boise State when he was on my ESPN show, to the different conversations I've had and all the people I've talked to about him. That's all they talk about is how great of a human and how great of a person he is, what he's going to bring to the Raiders. And, even talking to him briefly after he got selected, man, you could just tell that he's excited to get to work and get in the community as well and represent the Raiders the right way. So they're off to a good start. Again, it's only one pick. I don't want to crown him the greatest GM and head coach, alive or whatever the case may be. I don't want to act like they're going to be like executives of the year and head coach of the year because they made one really good pick, but they did make one really good pick. And sometimes that's the hardest pick to make is the one that's, the obvious one, the smart one, the one that's right in front of you. Some teams miss out on that, and that some teams have been the Raiders in the past. But that's going to do it for today's show. It's going to do it for the week, Raider Nation. Next time we talk, it'll be Monday. I'll be back in Las Vegas in Studio Q. I'll get back to a normal sleep schedule, but excited to see what the rest of this draft is going to hold for the Raiders, man. Again, round 2 and 3 Friday. We'll see what they're able to produce and what kind of players to get excited about. Maybe if they're a super exciting player or multiple super excited players, maybe we'll have a little emergency podcast. Maybe I'll drop on Saturday. No, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. I got tired just thinking about it. I'm already worn out. Last cat here in the media room on Thursday night, like security and minutes, going to be like, man, if you don't get your tail out of here and stop talking and don't you have a time limit on this show? Don't you got to go? Yeah, we got to go. So Raider Nation, enjoy the rest of the draft. Really, rounds 2 and 3 Friday, rest of the draft on Saturday. And, of course, like I said, we'll be back on Monday breaking it all down, all 7 rounds. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, as Ashton Jeanty said at the end of the conversation I had with him, you heard it in segment number 1, just win, baby.